We saw in the last video that there is a key difference in computing standard deviation and variance for a sample versus a population. So what we want to do in this video is just briefly practice distinguishing between a sample and a population. Okay, so we'll just look at a couple examples and make sure we're confident in identifying whether that's the population or a sample. It says in each of the following, tell whether the population or sample standard deviation should be used. In a study of the land areas of the states of the U.S., the area of each of the 50 states is used. So we're trying to figure out land area for the 50 states, and they got the area from each of 50 states. Hopefully we all know that there are 50 states in the United States, which means if they got the area for 50 of the states, they got every single state, which means that we're talking about a population in this instance. Right? That would be a population. In the next one, it says, in a study of the heights of high school students in a school of 1,200 students, the heights of 100 students chosen at random were recorded. Hopefully this one's pretty straightforward. If there are 1,200 students in the school, they select 100 at random, then this is clearly an example or a sample. Let's look at C. This one might be a little bit trickier. It says in a study of the heights of high school students in the U.S., the heights of 100 students from each of the 50 states were recorded. Okay, so because it mentions that each of the 50 states are represented, it might be tempting to want to call this a population, but let's look at what the question's studying. It's studying the heights of high school students in the U.S., meaning the heights of all of the high school students in the U.S. If they take 100 students from each state, they're going to have, 5,000 students. But all of the high school students in the U.S. is well more than 5,000. It's much more like 5 million or more. This is clearly just a tiny fraction of all of the high school students. So even though they're getting students from every state, this is clearly a sample. And you could argue whether it's even a well-designed sample, because if you get 100 students from North Dakota, that's not an equal representation if you take 100 students from California, when California has 20 times as many people, right? Anyhow, it's important to be able to distinguish between a population and a sample, so there's just a couple of examples to practice that.